westsidedecoratingcenter.com. I have become a frequent customer of Westside Decorating Center. Their showroom, their staff, their selection, always outstanding. So you know what, folks? Do what I do. Go in and spend your money there at Westside Decorating Center. So we are here today. It's Matt Fallon with the Great Lakes Bay Regional Alliance. Art is off. So Jonathan and I are here this morning, and we have an open hour here this first hour. And I'm feeling, Jonathan, I don't know what the right word is, spicy, salty. Like, I'm ready to talk a little bit of politics today. So we're going to open up the phone lines, folks. If you want to call, 989-752-6111.
Does it have to be political?
No, that could be one of the items. I'm going to give everyone 3 or 4 items that I would love to chat about. But if you're interested in chatting politics, happy to chat. And the reason I bring up politics today, Jonathan, is it is an election day here in the Great Lakes Bay region and beyond. So if you're driving and you're wondering what the heck is Matt Fallon talking about, there are school bond elections today, folks. So I know here in the Great Lakes Bay region we have big elections in Midland, in Birch Run, and in Essexville. I know out in the Thumb there's one in Reese. I'm sure for those of you listening, I may be missing a few as well, but those are at least some of the big ones that are on the top of my mind. So just kind of first as a reminder to everyone, please get out and vote if you do have an election today. I got to be honest, Jonathan, if Matthew Mondro or Terry Henney were anywhere near me, we'd be fighting because it is not a great morning to get out and vote. So if the weather is, not your thing right now, I'd just say wait till this afternoon.
Well, most polling places are inside, so
it's that whole walk to and from. I just dreaded the walk of 5 feet from my car into the studio this morning. It seemed unnecessary.
This is my kind of weather.
Is it really?
Yeah, I like gray, rainy days, not too warm, not too cold.
I looked at the radar, and all I could think of is a Friends episode, because the radar is just straight going, pivot. The rain is banding the wrong way. It's going east to west, which is, not the normal. So it looks like Ross Geller on Friends moving his couch up the steps. It's kind of annoying. I'm not going to lie.
I see it. I'm looking at it right now.
It's full pivot, isn't it?
I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not doing what it normally does,
a diagram that was the apartment from Friends couldn't exist spatially. I don't know, like someone laid it out, and like the hallway couldn't be where it is and not intersect with like the kitchen or something like that.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. So I will tell you, my family and I love New York. So at least once a year, maybe every other year, we make a trip to New York. And there's things that we like to do when we're in New York. So one, we love to hit a sporting event. A lot of times we'll go around when one of our team plays. So last year we had a fun deal. We got to watch Lions play the Giants in a preseason game. The year before we caught a Michigan State basketball game at Madison Square Garden. So we have a lot of fun, right? We hit a Broadway show, a different show each time. And it's been fun as the kids age, because the kids are now 18 and 15. So we don't have to watch Matilda every time. We can get a little bit more creative and a little bit edgier with our shows. So Mean Girls snuck in there. The last go-around, we actually watched MJ, and what was cool about that, one of our very own, a kid from Bay City, Ryan Vanderboom, Bay City Central grad, is part of the chorus of MJ, so that was kind of cool. But then we love tall buildings, so we love skyscrapers, so we always hit a different one, on top of the World Trade Center, on top of the Rock. So this last year we did one called The Edge. But where I'm going with this, we always find interesting things to do. There is a giant Friends immersive experience in New York where you go in and you go into the Friends apartment and you're in the Friends hallway and you can take a picture on the stairs with the doggone big couch yelling pivot. You can go into the coffee shop. You can go into the thing. And what's cool is they actually have a lot of the set design pieces and the actual things from the show right there in New York in this experience.
That's cool.
I'll be honest, if you love Friends, it's really cool to do. It's hokey as all hell. It is like one of those things where you're like, are we really spending money in part of our day to do this? But when you're done, the pictures are really funny because you're sitting on the couch and you're at the coffee shop and you're all at all the different places. So kind of cool. You need to go do that.
If I had ever seen an episode of Friends, I might be interested.
Stop it. Never an episode of Friends?
Nope.
We're going to open Pandora's box, though. So I got to ask, okay? Because you're slightly younger than me. I always feel it's always fun to me when me, you, and Art are in here because it's like one generation and another and another. And kind of to a certain extent, there may be some generations in between there.
There's a skip there, yeah.
Do you have cable?
No.
You don't. You're part of the generation. You don't need cable, right?
Nope. In fact, like right before I moved out of my parents, when I lived with them, we haven't had cable. I can't remember the last time we had cable, but I got really interested in watching like game shows on just broadcast television, like the antenna. And then when I moved out of my parents' house, I'm like, man, I'm going to need to get an antenna. And I never did. And I don't feel bad. Like, it's just, I've got Netflix, I've got Amazon, I've got Hulu, I've got Disney.
So one weekend when you're super bored, just watch a couple episodes of Friends, season 1. It'll be worth your while. My favorite recently is my son. He's 18. And he suddenly looks at Monica Geller differently today than he did 5 or 6 years ago, which it's kind of cracking me up. So as we talk about this and other things people may want to call in about, I want to know what people are watching. What are you streaming at home? What shows? I got done watching an interesting show last night called The Four Seasons on Netflix. It is based on the 1981 show by Alan Alda. It was a movie called The Four Seasons. It was also a stage play. I thought that was interesting. And as you speak about game shows, there's a show that I'm really looking forward to that's coming out. It's on Amazon Prime as of midnight, and it's called The Luckiest Man in America. And it's about the old game show Press Your Luck. And this guy had a really fascinating run where he had basically for months studied the Press Your Luck board. And for those of you that are listening that are thinking, okay, which game show's that? It's the one with the whammies. So people are playing it and they're like, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Yeah. They don't want to hit it, right? Well, this guy studied the board and he ended up winning this crazy sum of money. And it had a little bit of a feel like Slumdog Millionaire, where the show starts investigating, like, hey, what is going on? How is this guy winning? And it looks really fascinating. It's an interesting show. It's one of those that you're going to have to pay for because it just came out at midnight. But the other part of the show that really intrigues me is the main character is a Saginaw native. He is Paul Walter Hauser, who's a really interesting actor. Some folks may know him. He played the lead role in the movie Richard Jewell about the Atlanta bombings. He had a role in the Cobra Kai series on Netflix. He's had a bunch of interesting shows. At some point, I'm not lying, Charlie Rood and I have been chatting about it because I do believe he has relatives that are very involved with Valley Lutheran High School, etc. Would love to get him on the show either when he's in town or when, just bring him in on Yardstream with either Art or I. I think he's got a fascinating story, and he's a brilliant actor who's done some interesting things. So that would be topic 2. So we can talk about politics. We can talk about what are people watching and streaming. Let's help each other out, especially on a day that's just as perfect lovely as today. A perfect streaming day. And the third, my favorite, we're going to hit on one thing that's near and dear to Jonathan's heart. But I love chatting sports, folks. Anything sports related. I'm an MSU guy. I apologize to half of you out there. But they fired their AD, or he resigned here in the last week, which I found fascinating in the era of NIL. The Detroit Tigers, who you can listen to here on WSGW, have been just an absolute blast. I feel like Detroit sports are back finally. Lions in the playoffs, Pistons in the playoffs, Tigers in the playoffs. Stevie Y, come on, man. We got to get the Red Wings going. But I don't know if you saw the other day, there have been 2 crazy NHL games where the games looked over. So I was flipping through, and the end of the Dallas Stars game, it was 2-0. Stars were behind, and they pull the goalie with between 3 to 4 minutes to go. They score once. They score twice with 2 seconds to go. Really late. They go into overtime and win. But then the other night I was watching the Winnipeg Jets, and they have a young man named Cole Perfetti, who was a member of the Saginaw Spirit, and they found themselves down 3-1. And what caught my attention, the game was in Winnipeg, so it's in Canada, and the crowd was dead, Jonathan. I mean dead. They're down. They do the same thing. They pull the goalie.
It's game 7. The season's over is the thought process with a few minutes left.
But come on, you're Canadians, eh? This is what you live for. You can't lose to St. Louis.
If you live for it, you die for it.
Well, they were dying. So then they score a late goal. maybe between 1 and 2 minutes left to make it 3-2. And then at the very end of the game, Saginaw Zone. I'm calling him Saginaw Zone. I don't know where he's from before there. Cole Perfetti, anyone who cares or loves Spirit hockey or hockey in general, Cole Perfetti, you're one of ours. And he got the game-tying goal. And they went on to win in double overtime. Really late game.
The latest Game 7 game-tying goal in NHL history.
Was it really?
Yes.
Yeah. Wasn't it cool, though, that it was Cole? I'm sitting there, and then I'm laughing. I'm like, man, Cole Perfetti's been playing hockey forever. That guy's got to be in his mid-30s. Because for those of us who have been watching him since he was 16, he feels like he's been playing a long time. So I'm like, I'm going to go look, and I wonder just how old is Cole Perfetti at this point? My guy is 21, Jonathan.
Really?
You're an old man compared to Cole Perfetti.
Wow.
Doesn't it seem like he's been playing a lot longer than being a 21-year-old?
I would have guessed mid-20s or something.
I totally laughed. I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of that old saying, time is a thief, or the days are long, but the years are short. I laughed, but I loved it. So, folks, if you want to call in, give us a shout, 989-752-6111. Again, 989-752-6111. Happy to chat some politics, some local school boards, sports. What are we watching on TV? Let's have fun here on this rainy Tuesday, but we'll be back after these messages.
April showers bring...
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Fallon and Jonathan Dent here filling in for Art. And we agreed to open up the phone line, so we have our first caller this morning. We have Mark from Midland. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Good. Hey, what's on your mind this morning?
Well, what's on my mind, let me set it up for you. I'm a veteran, and I have on my ID, I have a veteran on there, and I had to show my DD-214, which has my Social Security number when I go to the Secretary of State. And I did that in February. Unfortunately, I didn't have my Social Security number with me or my ID to get the gold star put on there. And I had to go back and pay another $18 to show my Social Security that I have a Social Security number to get the little gold star. But yet my government is flying immigrants all over the United States with no gold star. My government is giving people that are illegal $1,000 to go and fly. But the gold star only gets you in domestic flights. And so nobody has explained to me what the gold star represents besides you still got to go through screening. And if you don't have a gold star, you can still fly, but you got to go through extra screening. Is it you just get to take your shoes off and your belt off if you don't have the gold star, or you keep it on if you do have the gold star? Nobody's really explained why domestic travel has to have a gold star. To me, it seems like a tracking device because you need to have a Social Security number in order to have this gold star on your driver's license. So what's your thoughts?
I will tell you, as someone who does travel pretty frequently, I'm always amazed at how different it is, whatever airport you go to. I'll just give you some simple examples. Same thing. Well, I go through one airport in Detroit right now. If you go through the Delta area, you don't have to take your shoes off. You don't have to take your belt off. Your laptop can stay in your computer, or it can stay in your bag. You don't have to take it out. It's a really easy process, right? And then you fly out of New York and go through one of those airports. The next thing I know, my belt's off, my shoes are off, my coat's off. I'm taking off the laptop and putting it in a bin. It's so inconsistent. So I just kind of feel like all federal regulations as they relate to flying are so different everywhere you go. It's like going in to buy produce. You never quite know what quality you're going to get, what's happening. I'll tell you what, though, I am one of those people that would say we spend a lot of money on a lot of foolish things. So having to go back and spend another $18 when you see how many tax dollars are being spent all over the place on every last thing in the history of the world, I can see for a veteran like yourself exactly why you'd be frustrated and wondering, geez, shouldn't this be an easier process, and shouldn't we be better taken care of, and shouldn't this be a little bit easier? I would just generally say, when it comes to veterans in general, I think we fail. I think we do a poor job, and I think we need to do a lot more for our veterans when they get home across the board, whether it's in education, training, healthcare, simple things like, hey, you served your country, and we should know who these people are pretty well. Shouldn't we be able to get them through airlines a lot easier? Shouldn't veterans, I'll give you a good example, shouldn't veterans automatically get something like Clear or something like the TSA program so that they can fly a lot easier, not have to go after that? Doesn't that seem like a simple benefit for our veterans? Is that something you get behind?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Is I've flown in Detroit a couple years ago, and in order to not jump the line, but they had a thing where you put your eyes in there in a retina or something like that. You look into this thing, and it screens your eyes, so you don't have to go through screening, TSA screening or anything. I think you alluded to it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the program was called.
Yeah, that one's ClearMark. So Clear uses that eye screening. It actually goes further.
Yeah.
But we even laugh when we go through. Some airports have Clear, some have TSA Pre, some have both. And I kind of laugh. I'm like, why do we have both? Some you can get if you have the right credit card. It'll pay for one of them. I would just say, appreciate your service, appreciate the call, totally understand where you're coming from. We need to do a better job, and I think veterans should absolutely be included in those programs.
All right, fair enough.
Thanks, Mark.
Have a good day.
You too.
I have yet to hear a good explanation for why Real ID is a thing. Like, I don't get it. I'm not a fan necessarily of needing extra whatever to fly domestically. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have to once I update my driver's license anyway. Like, it's required, isn't it? But
yeah, you're not going to have a choice now.
You don't have a choice.
No,
but
that's the way it goes.
I'd rather just, I shouldn't have to show my passport flying domestically, but if I had the choice between Real ID and keeping my passport up to date, I'd keep my passport up to date.
So I will tell you, as I've gotten older, sitting in those lines at the airport is something I've chosen not to do anymore. So we got Clear, and he's right. You go up, and it's a retinal scan. So you go to this little screen, and it takes a picture of your eye, but then it takes a picture of your face. And then it just pops up, and you're cleared right through, and the wait is seconds. And then it puts you through scanners where you don't have to take anything off. You don't have to take things out of your bag, and on your way you go.
That weirds me out. I don't want to give my retinal scan information to the government. I don't want to give my facial scan information to the government. They already have it.
I was going to say, I'm one of the believers. They already have it.
They already have it, but I'm not going to give it willingly. So then when...
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I don't know if you saw the news yesterday, something that caught my attention. It was leaked to reporters out east. Did you see this in Newark, where an air traffic controller has told people do not fly out of Newark Liberty Harbor Airport?
Really?
And then United Airlines has now started to pull their flights out of Newark. And it has to do mostly with staffing, that they're understaffed at that facility for air traffic control, and the technology isn't where it needs to be. And you literally have an air traffic controller from that spot that went public and said, whoever you are, whatever you are, do not fly in or out of Newark. And United took it so seriously that they followed up and started pulling flights, and their CEO made a big statement. I don't know about you or anyone listening. Yeah, I'm not flying out of Newark right now. If you're telling me that an airline CEO has made a decision that they're no longer going to fly
they don't
a
just make
major
those
airline,
choices.
no. So there's something there, right? That's the classic, if there's smoke, there's fire. I'm always amazed because flying is so safe, and you look at the numbers, right? The odds of you and I having a problem today driving our car in the rain and hydroplaning or something are infinitely higher than flying. But I still don't know what it is. Flying can be a very scary experience just, due to the lack of control. I always tell my son, I'm like, geez, I hope the mechanic didn't get in a fight with their wife last night and isn't in a bad mood. I hope the pilot got the amount of sleep that they need. I hope that the birds aren't in our flight pattern. I hope that Sully's flying the plane. There's just a lot of variables. So I understand kind of the consternation. So we're going to take a break. Again, we're going to take calls. If you want to call in and chat, you can call 989-752-6111, and we'll be right back. And we've determined that you're young and a kid and don't have cable.
Correct.
What are you watching right now? What are you streaming? What is the thing that you just can't stop watching and that you would like the listeners to know about?
Well, here's the disadvantage of streaming. I was watching a show that I kind of rediscovered called Warehouse 13 that I had watched through, and I have the DVD set of because my dad and I watched it together and we loved it so much. And I was rewatching it on Amazon, and then suddenly I'm in the middle of an episode. I pause it, I go to bed, I come home from work the next day, and it's no longer available without paying for it on Amazon.
Oh, tragic,
so
right?
Now I'm locked out of it, and I'm not going to pay for it. So I'm kind of finding something else to watch. But there's a show, and we were just talking about it off air, that I am super excited for. They've got a new season coming out on Netflix later this month called Love, Death, and Robots, where it is. I'm getting the thumbs up from Mike in the newsroom because we've geeked out about this before. But it's basically a collection of short stories. Most of them are like sci-fi, but that's because they're all kind of visual effects based. Like they have a bunch of visual effects artists that put together really cool stories, and the 4th season of it is coming out here on the 15th, I think.
So I am happy to jump in the rabbit hole of dorkiness and geeking out. So I will tell you, I'm a big fan of some of the Disney streaming shows. Obi-Wan Kenobi is absolutely fantastic. The first season was awesome for those of you that are Star Wars fans.
I liked it.
There's a lot more that happens between Obi-Wan and Kenobi than Darth Vader than you may realize, and if you just depend on the movies, you don't realize that there's some really good stuff out there. The one that I want to start, and I've tried a couple times and I can't get into, but I know I will, is Andor, which looks pretty cool. I've heard you have to get through a couple before you really start to get into it. And then there was a great Marvel show called WandaVision, which was about two of the main characters, Wanda and Vision. And did you ever see that one, Jonathan?
I did.
It's really freaky because it like confuses you at first because it looks like a 1950s sitcom, and you're like, what am I watching? But then it ties into the multiverse and different things. But yeah, folks, for those of you that are listening going, wow, I did not know that Matt Flaunt was that big of a geek. Yes, he is, and he owns it fully.
We do have a caller, but before that, I need you to settle a debate between myself and Michael Percha. Did you watch the Book of Boba Fett?
I did not watch a Book of Boba Fett.
Okay, so you can't settle it.
No, I'm not going to be able to settle it.
I loved the Book of Boba Fett. Mike thinks it's dumb.
So the problem you have when you're at home is that you have to find the balance. And if I watch too many shows that are sci-fi or Star Wars or total geek related, I'm going to come home one day and all my stuff's going to be in the front lawn. So you got to find that balance. Who do we have with us on the call, Jonathan?
We're going to say good morning to Carol in Sheridan. Carol, good morning.
Good morning. Well, you guys begged and begged for somebody to talk politics, and I never talk politics with Art because he always has these smart answers that he thinks are right. But I wonder if people have really noticed how deeper Trump gets in trouble is the more outlandish things he proposes, so you think about that instead of the stupid job he's doing. What's your comment?
You know, Carol, I sit back and I watch a lot of it, and I will be honest. I was thinking about this exact thing that you just said about, do people think they're right or wrong? Because I'll see people pontificate on Facebook or they get up and they give their speech, and I started to ask myself, gee, are they right or are they wrong? And then I often have opinions, and I thought to myself, gee, am I right or am I wrong? And sometimes I think we're so convinced that we have to somehow win an argument that's unwinnable. It's almost like nuclear war. Who wins a nuclear war? Well, the answer is nobody. At the end of the day, everyone will die, right? Trying to win a political argument is kind of a fallacy because there's no judge, there's nothing that happens. So when I think about these things, Carol, I look and go, yes. Some of the things that are going on, you just kind of look and you scratch your head and you go, what is happening? I will give you a good example, and this may get the phone lines going. Reopening Alcatraz is just a really outlandish idea with not much thought behind it. It's not practical. It's old. It's antiquated. It's in the middle of the San Francisco Bay. It's not practical. There's a reason it was closed.
Yep.
To now just open this and say that we're going to put people in Alcatraz, there's no substance behind that. It's just for show. It's a game. It's something fun to say. You wake up in a mood and you say, guess what? I'm going to get everyone going and we're going to reopen Alcatraz because it sounds interesting and sexy. So when you say that, Carol, there's part of me that's like, wow, that is absolutely just out of their minds. Just no. But at the same point, there are times when I go, that one has me interested. I'll give you one. I had heard recently that the president has been talking to Nick Saban, former football coach, about how college athletics is getting out of hand with these NIL deals and paying players $12 million. And Nick Saban's working hard to convince the president to get some order back into collegiate athletics and make it about college again and not just basically a semi-pro league. And apparently the president's considering that. That I can get behind. That I was like, that's interesting.
Why is that the president's business?
The president
That's
finds
what I say. What's the president got his nose in college things? There's people on boards and things that. Why is he wasting his time and our time and our money flying back and forth playing golf and all this crap? Why is that? Just to stick his nose into everything and the Kennedy Center and in the movies and all this stuff. Why? It's just really annoying.
Well, Carol, what I would say is presidents have an interesting way of deciding what they're going to get involved in, and it doesn't matter who, and through the years, they kind of determine where they're going to stick their nose, and in this case, this is what he's decided to do, and whether it's going to be the Kennedy Center, renaming a body of water, Alcatraz, or anything in between, this is what people voted for, so hold on to your seats. We still got 3 years and 8 months ahead. And if you believe the hats and the T-shirts and the website, who knows? 28, 32, 36, 40. He says he's running for all of them. So, hey, thanks for the call, Carol. We are going to take a break, and we'll be back after these messages. Has raised, well in excess of $5 million collectively. I know Midland alone is on 3.6, so it's 12, or it's approaching 5. But it's amazing. Go on there. I'm going to quote the great John Lynch. John Lynch is probably going to have to start charging me for this. John Lynch, president and CEO over at Three Rivers, and who I saw actually spoke at one of the MSU commencements last weekend. He always has a great line that says, are you a citizen or do you just live here? Kind of meaning, do you just live here? Do you just kind of go about the motions? Or are you a citizen and do you care? And do you care about community? And what I would encourage all of you is if you're a citizen and you care about where you live, give back. It doesn't matter if you can afford $1, $5, or $10,000 and everything in between. It's a great opportunity to go out and support just some phenomenal causes. I will give you guys one as an example near and dear to my heart. It's regional in nature that we got to know quite a bit last year. It is Foster Families Navigation and Resource Center, which supports foster families all across the region. It helps with clothing, with items, with counseling, with bringing in a foster child, walking through that process. Every day, folks, there are foster children across this region that are looking for a great home, and we all have an excuse why we just can't do it, right? We're too busy, and it's such a big commitment, and et cetera, but at the end of the day, these are the most vulnerable in our community, children who need a home, and this organization does just absolutely remarkable work. So I would encourage you to give to Foster Families Resource Center today. Go on to one of the Give Local pages and support it. Jonathan, I have another one for you that I think is important to both you and I, because you and I are the product of moms that worked in education. It is Teacher Appreciation Week. So I'm going to ask you a question. You're on the hot seat, baby.
Uh-oh.
Tell me a teacher that you look back to and you just want to say thank you to today.
That's still alive?
It doesn't have to be. Who impacted you? Who do you care about?
In middle school, it was my choir director, Mrs. Primo. In high school, my first high school, it was my geography teacher, Mr. Bell, who his tagline when the first day of school we all came in, we sat down, he looked at us all, he's an old fireman, and he looked at us all, he said, "I hate freshmen." One of the best teachers I ever had. And then I think for my second high school, I think he's still teaching, Andy Medeski. and at Standish Sterling Central. He teaches English there, and he's a fantastic teacher.
I love it. Well, a couple thank yous for me. Back in my elementary school days, Julie Sullivan, my 6th grade social studies teacher, made us back then. The big assignment was memorizing the Gettysburg Address, which sometimes, still out of nowhere, I'm like, 7 years ago, our forefathers brought forth onto this continent a new nation, one conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition